For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Well, that Don Lemon interview with Elon Musk. Are you still talking about it? Are you? Because I think Don Lemon wants you to be. But it seems like you're probably not alone if you've already forgotten about it and you just don't give a shit. But if you do kind of like the delicious back and forth and how Don's trying to milk another 15 minutes out of this disastrous interview, stick around because I'm giving my critique as a trained journalist and as a listener, coming up on The Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Let me talk about this Don Lemon feud. I guess it's turning into a feud with Elon Musk. Now, is it really a feud, though, if the other person doesn't play ball? You've heard the story. I think, actually, we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it on the show last week, that, Lemon had come forward to say, well, earlier this year, he announced this big deal with Twitter, right? I'm calling it Twitter. I don't care. So this was a big comeback for Don after he was fired from CNN for being a dick. And, he's quite honestly, this is the biggest platform, really, I guess aside from YouTube or something. I mean, Twitter is the biggest deal around, right? So you would think that you do want to launch with a bang, right? With gusto. And, your biggest guest is possibly, one of the most controversial people in the world, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Sure, Vladimir Putin, whoever would be. But I mean, in today's pop culture world anyway, it's Elon Musk. And so I would be excited about that. Now, also, full disclosure here, I majored in journalism in school, how old was I? Well, I'm 41 now, so 20 years ago, well, more than that now. And so I've been in broadcasting and journalism and in commentary. So I understand what journalism actually is. So here are my thoughts on this whole Don Lemon, Elon Musk, and I'm going to put it in quotes. Feud? Is it a feud? If only one person just keeps firing at the other person, is it a feud? Elon would be smart to just lay low and not even comment on this anymore. Let Don just keep having his little tantrum and try to milk it for another 15 minutes. So again, just to recap the story, although I'm sure you've already heard it, is Don has this new talk show that's going to be coming out with episodes 3 times a week on Twitter. And he's going to be paid, this is where there's discrepancies, but he's going to be paid anywhere between, $5 and $8 million for the exclusive release on Twitter first, and then it can go on to other platforms after. And there's reports from the tabloids last weekend that Don had this big list of demands. I want a vehicle. I want to host a podcast in space, the very first podcast in space. I want to, get put up in a fancy hotel with massages and drinks, and I want to say on how news is presented and the policies on the platform. Which that doesn't surprise me, just knowing what I know about him. Like I said, I've been in this business. I've interviewed many, many people. That, he does have an attitude. You could even see that on that morning show that he was hosting on CNN, that he was that he was fired from, and then it was eventually canceled, where he just had this smug kind of feel about him, which obviously doesn't resonate with morning show viewers, obviously, right? When you look at the approach of Today or Good Morning America, it's very upbeat. It's very, yes, there's news involved, but there's just a different kind of a tone, a different vibe. And obviously they never struck that properly on CNN because the show, bombed. It was supposed to replace a low-rated show, and it did lower than the lower-rated show. Like it was the lowest at that point. So, he got fired and he had to go away for a little while. He just did an interview with Tamron Hall saying that I'm on anxiety medication or depression medication, whatever it is. And you have this opportunity. Like, that's something that if you are a trained journalist and you get Elon Musk, that would be like somebody like me going and saying, oh my God, I got Oprah. I've got Oprah coming on my show. I am not going to fuck it up. And the way that you do an interview, I'm just going to tell you, everyday, common folk, is you build that rapport. So let's say, with Don, apparently they had a 1 hour sort of agreement. That's how long this is going to be. So you set the groundwork, or the foundation, or you build the foundation, the framework. You build a rapport for that first 5, 10, even 15 minutes. You've got 1 hour. And so you don't go in for the kill right away, no matter how controversial this person is. Remember, this is also a business partner too. You have to keep that in mind. That would be like having a job, taking a job at a cigarette company and then going right into the president's office with cameras rolling and saying, why are you killing people? Why are you putting out a dangerous product? Like, do you think that you're going to have your job as you walk out that door? Like, is that really what you think is going to happen? You're going to get high fives from people and go, that was good. That was good. Okay, we love this guy. We're going to keep him around. No, you're going to go and say, okay, wait a second. He's criticizing and lashing out at the platform that he's going to be prominently featured on. Like, how do you... even when I was, doing a regular newspaper, I had a top 40 music show. Anytime that I wrote a newspaper column about the media and about the news industry, I always kind of felt this is really weird because I'm criticizing my own people, my own industry. It's the same thing when I watch The View and I hear them talking about the news media and they talk about, the news, the media. The View is part of ABC News. They are considered a news program. So you always kind of look at that and go, wait a second, this is somebody who's in that business criticizing that business. And that's fine. It's fair because you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to express yourself. But then at the same time, like, you're biting the hand that feeds you is the term in Lemon's case anyway, that you're saying that this is a hate-filled platform and it's getting worse and you're responsible for it. And it starts from the top and that's you. And you don't think that it's... And if that was me, I mean, I'm an asshole, so I would have flipped around and say, do you want to be on this platform, Don, or not? Because, like, I don't know why you're, like, trashing it like it's a terrible thing, and now we're kind of giving you a top spot as being a video program on our platform. Like, this doesn't make sense here. Do you want to be on it, or do you not want to be on it? If it's so bad, why are you on it? And, okay, so... Don got ass kissy in the very first minute. Oh, this is such an honor. Thank you so much for being, this is awesome. This is great. And right off the bat, when he made a reference to Tesla moving a factory and Musk fact checked him, I don't know the timestamps, but it was within the first couple of minutes. It was very, very early on. And I remember because I was listening to this as I was about to take my dogs for a walk. So I was just putting on I was just getting ready to walk out the door. So that means that I would have just started listening to the audio, giving it about 2 or 3 minutes of playtime at this point. So within the first minute or two, he was already wrong on something and getting fact checked. Right there, that as the listener, that set me off and going, okay, wait a second. This dude hasn't done his research. He already doesn't know. To say that a factory is moving, that's a big deal. And you're in one. They were doing it this interview was conducted in a Tesla building, if I'm not mistaken. So that was the first point. And then from that point, and then he just went in for the kill, right? Like, it was ass kissy at the very beginning, thinking that's going to solidify this rapport. Okay, good. We're in. We're brothers now. We're tight. We're good. And then it just all went downhill. Now, again, this is and I'm not saying that I'm a Don Lemon hater or supporter or Elon Musk hater or supporter. I'm just like taking this from a journalistic point of view and also just a listener point of view. It was very uncomfortable almost for me as a listener. Now, there's a part of me that, because I'm an entertainment reporter and a gossiper or whatever, that I'm sitting there going, this is so awkward that it's good, right? Like, I've got that hat on listening to it and saying, I hope that Musk just unloads on him out of nowhere, because it's so awkward. It's delicious. It was great. But then as the listener, now when I flip back into just being a listener and enjoying it, it was really weird. So the tone of questions was very accusatory, and it was always angled in a certain way. There's a way to ask a hard question in a very general sort of tone, right? You pack a punch with your words, not necessarily in the delivery in an interview. If you want it to be a gotcha interview or whatever, that's different. But if Don is doing an actual journalistic, integrity-filled interview, then you don't do it that way. But he did it that way. And that obviously is going to put the guest on edge. I mean, that's going to make them defensive. It's going to make them shut down. And you could tell, at least from the times that I had seen Don have combative interviews on CNN, you can tell that that's what he was hoping this was going to turn into, was I'm going to keep goading him. I'm going to keep poking the bear. I'm going to keep, I'm going to ask it again. I'm just going to reword it. I'm going to ask the exact same fucking thing that I didn't get an answer to 3 times. And I'm just going to tighten that. I'm just going to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig and still go nowhere. And as a journalist, you have to sort of look at that and go, okay, it's time to move on. And clearly Don did not know how to do that. I think that maybe he was just so, trained on having years of, the guest is going to fire back on cable news because that's what makes cable news debates. They're really arguments. They're not debates, because nobody's going to have their mind changed and nobody's going to, you're just there to argue. And so when Musk kind of just kept a level head and didn't, lose his cool and didn't fire off, you could just see that Don didn't know how to transition from that. He had no idea how to, okay, let's segue into something else. Okay, well, let's shift gears then. He just kept going and going. And so another thought that I had, though, too, was, yes, they had a 1-hour time period for this, but you also have to know when to stop. Now, when I first started doing interviews, I was back in my parents' house. This is, again, over 20-some years ago. I would make the interviews as long as possible because I kept thinking, this is such a good get. Like, I've got this person on the phone. I'm going to keep it going as long as possible. I'm going to ask them everything under the sun. Because you just think, hey, this is a great conversation. We're good. I got half an hour, 40 minutes, 45, 50 minutes. And then when you listen back to it just as a listener, right? Now you're not in it. You're now looking at it or listening to it. You're hearing it as a listener. And you're just sitting there going, oh my God, this is excruciatingly long. Like, this is actually kind of painful. Because maybe in that moment you're sitting there going, okay, I just they're not telling me they have to go, so I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep filling time. You have to know when to end it. And with Don, I think he was trying to fill that 1 hour. There was nothing wrong with going and saying, we're 5 minutes early. All right, but he didn't have enough to go on. He sort of ran out of gas. And even Elon was saying that at the end, like, you've got 5 minutes left. Are you sure you want to be asking me about this? Are you sure you want to do this? So it was, I don't even know. It was just very strange. There was a couple other thoughts that I had. Let me just think. Oh, and now Don is playing the gay and the black card. If you saw that he had a follow-up segment, originally he was going to be posting 3 times a week, right? Now he's got Kara Swisher, who is not an Elon Musk fan. And so now Don is, the second video that he posts for the Don Lemon Show is Elon Musk a racist? And Don was saying this even from the beginning. Well, he didn't want to answer questions from somebody like me. You know where he's going with that. It's either going to be gay or black or a black gay man. Those are the options. That's what he's implying. And that's sort of the go-to fallback. I've talked about this on the show before. When I worked at a publishing company, we had a graphic designer. She was a Filipino and a lesbian. And she kept going on and on about how one of the other graphic designers, his name was Andy. Andy doesn't like me. Andy, he's just, he picks on me because I'm gay. And at one point, I had to say to her, and this is when you could have these conversations with people and not get in trouble. I eventually said to her, maybe you're just a bitch to him. Maybe he just doesn't like you. I'm gay, and Andy, I have a great time with him. I have great laughs with him. We get along. We work really well together. Maybe he just doesn't like you. Maybe because you're the victim of everything. But everything. If a salesperson had something with her or there was something, it was always one of the two things. It was because I'm Filipino or it's because I'm a lesbian. And I've never respected somebody who does that. And so when I read the comments on Don's YouTube page, I see that that's what a lot of people are saying. There was somebody that says, somebody said, like, as a black man, I never start a sentence or a statement with, as a black man, I feel, and it's true. But I've never said, I don't think I've ever started a sentence with, as a gay man, as a gay, as a homosexual, because that's not my life. That's not my claim to fame. When people have called me a gay author or a gay radio host, I've always questioned that and said, well, I don't know what that means. You could change that with, he's a right-handed radio host. He's a diabetic radio host. He's why is that the differentiator? Like, why is that the characteristic that I'm going to be known for? He's a gay entertainment reporter. He's our gay, it never made sense to me because I don't play that game. I write my commentary. It's based on my thoughts on something. It's not, this is my gay man's opinion on something, just as my commentary about this. This is not my commentary as, I guess I was going to say it's not my commentary as a journalist, which I kind of said that right at the beginning, but it's my overall view of this industry and what journalism is. And I'm giving you my thoughts as a listener too, right? So I'm telling you from a journalistic point of view and perspective, this is this, and from a listener perspective, this is this, right? I'm giving you the two sides of it. But I'm not now going to go and say, now as a gay man listening to it, this is what, because that's irrelevant. Don's making it about that. Don's grasping at straws. The smartest thing, by the way, that Elon can do right now is never mention this again. Have Don keep putting out more videos, keep, cycling this around. And if Musk doesn't respond, it just makes Don look very petty. And you can tell that, yes, this was news a couple of days ago, right? It was news a week ago when Don announced the firing, or I guess 2 weeks, however long ago it was. And then it was news again on Monday when the podcast dropped, because now everybody's like, oh, what's going to be on the podcast? What happened? What was so bad? Why is Elon, And when you look at the YouTube views on that first video, it's getting close to 1 million as of when we're doing this on, Friday morning. But then the second vid, the Swisher vid, was not even 70,000 views with the whole, the headline, right? Is Elon Musk a racist? That's not clickbait. That's a sensationalized headline to get you to click. And, I didn't really actually listen to the full interview just with Swisher, because I thought this is Don just trying to spread this out another 15 minutes. And you can see that the audience doesn't have an appetite for it when you're not even at 70,000 views 2 days later. And so like the interview with Musk, you need to know when it's time to move on. If the audience isn't as fired up as you are, Don, and it didn't work in the days after, right? Because then he did the media blitz. He went on The View. He's been on, Tamron Hall. He's done all these. That's, you need to find another next topic, next guest. Now, Don also talks about fair and balanced journalism, right? And getting facts and whatever. Here's the thing. Now, I don't know if he's got it was, like I said, supposed to be 3 videos a week. So the Musk one was first, Swisher was second. Now, if this third one is another one about Musk, and if it's another one thrashing him and bringing another Elon Musk hater on, and not bringing an Elon Musk supporter on, and having somebody who's going to defend Elon and call out Don for his interviewing skills and how it played out, then that's not fair and balanced, because in true journalism, you give the two sides. So we already know that Don is going to be biased on this because he was, fired. He was fired, right? Because he says he wasn't fired, but everybody's looking at it that way. You need to have somebody who's got your side, fine. But then in the same conversation, if you're doing it truly balanced, you're going to bring in somebody who's going to be an Elon supporter and call out Don. That's the only fair way to do it. You need to have somebody on your show who will go and say, look, Don, you did this, or you said this, or you were out of line here, or you did this. Like, if you're not going to do that. So if this third guest, and it's going to be Musk related, and it's going to be somebody who's going to slam him, and you're never going to have somebody on, then that's not journalism. You're just going to be wanting that sympathy, and you're going to want these backers to make it seem like you were in the wrong. Now, I also then kind of look at this and go, what is the goal for Lemon continuing to do this? I know, like, I'm trying to think of years ago, 25 years ago, when I was really interested in guys. This is long before I was married and happy in my life. I would piss off a guy to no end. I would just do everything to annoy the shit out of him, to the point where he was going to call the cops. He had to change his phone number, whatever it was. But the more I thought, okay, eventually he's going to go and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, let's be together. Okay, yeah. You convinced me. I'm in. Let's do this. Because there was just that, so if Don's doing this in the hope that Musk is going to, reconsider and be like, yeah, you know what, Don, you're right. I reacted badly. I didn't mean to cancel the contract. No, you're just digging yourself even deeper. And at the end of the day, Lemon is still a pariah in the news world, in the, whatever. Everybody has said nobody's going to hire this guy. The thought was that he was going to jump to News Nation, which is kind of what everybody else has done, Chris Cuomo and, whoever. But now when you go and do this, I mean, you're messing with one of the richest men in the world. I mean, and again, Musk doesn't necessarily have his, he doesn't have all of the supporters, right? He's got a fringe group of supporters. And as I've already said, I'm not a Lemon supporter or a Musk supporter. I've always kind of found cable news, commentators to be sort of one. It's just all about politics, and that's not my interest. So, but when I see Lemon's approach, of course I'm going to have an opinion on that as somebody who's in the industry and has that formal training in it. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, 70,000 views on the second video. The audience clearly doesn't have an appetite for it. You could try to sensationalize the headline, is Elon Musk racist? I mean, we know where you're going with that, but here's also the deal where, and again, I wrote a newspaper column about this years ago, which is if it's always a protest, if it's always something, if there's always something, like, people are sick of hearing that they are racist because they're white. And it's and same thing with gay. A lot of gay people are sick of hearing about, like, the trans debate. We are not, gay people. We're not trans. We're not. That's totally different than being gay. And so gay people, a lot of times, and again, I'm not saying that this is everybody, and this is the way things are. There's obviously people feel different ways, but I'm just giving you these examples of, the gay community is kind of sick of being grouped in with the whole trans thing because it's not the same, right? And same thing with women. To go and say that every woman has, opinions on abortion, or every woman should have opinions. I mean, some people are just kind of like, whatever, do what you want to do. It's not a big deal, right? So you have to, pick and choose when you're going to throw out that victim card and what it's about. If Elon had nothing, like, to jump to the conclusion to go and say, oh, it's because I'm black and I'm gay. I mean, as a gay man, I was listening to it going, well, if he was homophobic or something, then he just wouldn't have even sat down with you at all, right? And if it was because you're black, then why would he have done that? And I'm trying to think back, it was an hour, it was a very long, I don't even think the trans thing came up, but I don't think the gay thing came up. I mean, and that's where, again, you go and group it in as LGBTQ+. No, it wasn't. There was nothing about the gay community, right? It's the trans debate that's always the one that's making headlines. So I don't know. So if you listen to the Musk interview and then the Swisher interview, and you have your thoughts, send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to the viewership numbers because the first interview, like I said, was closing in on 1 million. But again, you would expect that to, because this was so highly talked about, right? And everybody was wanting to know. And then when he does the follow-up, I think that headline's going to turn off a lot of people when you just go and say, oh, here's somebody else playing the gay card, here's somebody else playing the, and again, don't even call me homophobic or racist, because as a gay man, I'm looking at that and going, oh, here's just another person who it's because I'm gay. Just like that graphic designer I told you about. It's, why would, if Elon is racist and homophobic, why would he do a business deal worth millions of dollars? Like, why would you do that? I always say, People do that whole like, well, my friends are black. I have black friends. I have a black massage therapist. So if I were racist, I would not be getting naked and having a black man rub me down. On the massage. Oh, that sounds actually quite crude. I mean, it is. He's original. I got like insurance receipts stuff. This is a legitimate thing. It's not a different kind of massage. The way I described it, I'm gonna have to take that back. But I'm not doing censorship because that's what Elon, or that's what Don wants. But do you see what I'm saying though? Like you call me racist or whatever, but it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna have a black dude rubbing my ass and massaging me if I'm racist, right? Like that's just. So is Elon really gonna do business, and sign, have the face of his company because they're wanting to grow the video part of the platform? Like, that's going to be your first hire as a black gay man. You know that, and Elon was even asked about diversity and almost like filling quotas in terms of diversity. And Elon said, it's the person who's qualified, who's the person who's got integrity and the qualifications. That's how you hire somebody. Same thing for us at our company. I'm not going to hire some 19-year-old out of school who's going to be the valley girl and offended by everything when we've had a solid team together for 18 years and... It doesn't. Everybody got together. Our team is because you have qualifications that we all either went to school. We took the same program, so there's kind of that trust right there. It's not. We don't look at it and go, we don't have an East Indian on the team, and we don't have a black woman. No, we've got the people who were best for the roles at the time, and that's that. It's not a matter of, okay, we're going to open up this position, so, okay, it's got to be a black woman. No, it's the person who's most qualified for the job. So, now again, if that makes me racist, fuck it, I don't care then. Then, so be it. That's what you think of me? Okay. Again, knowing full well, I have a black man who massages me every other weekend, so, take that as you will. Right? Okay. So, again, the email address, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, back on the Scribble right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble. Just during that break, the team on the other side of the window was telling me what we were going to be calling this name, or what was going to be the name of this episode. And what was he saying? Lemon out of juice? Lemon ran out of juice? That's what happens when you get a team of writers who just are exhausted and kind of go, what's the most ridiculous name we can come up with? So That's I don't know what the final name is yet. I'll be surprised. I'll see it with you at the same time. But again, my email address is live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. Tell me your thoughts on this whole Don Lemon thing. I mean, again, like I said, sometimes you just have to realize, hey, I got a major payout from CNN of, whatever, reportedly $20 million or something dollars. Maybe I can just go away. Maybe I can just never work again. Maybe, right? I mean, why not? Or at least just do something low-key. For instance, I host this podcast. We don't make a shit ton of money on it. It's just something for us to do. It's just something for me to do. Really. Yeah. So we don't have tens of thousands of listeners, but you know what? Whatever. It's just something to do. Something for fun. And I will do it again next week. Same time, same place, right here on The Scribble. My name is Jeremy Bradley. I will talk to you then. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some